If you have read the ending of the newest volume, you probably wonder why the writer feels like they need to repeat the same plot with Hiyori, which is Ayanokoji trying to understand love. However, Ayanokoji's situation between the end of the first year and the current volume is actually really different. If you compare both Hiyori and Kei when it comes to their relationships with Ayanokoji, you probably notice there are a few interesting parallels between them. When Ayanokoji decided to date Kei, he wanted to learn about love and feel it just like a normal person, but when he confessed his feelings toward Hiyori, he had already fallen in love with her even before they were dating. Not only that, when Ayanokoji confessed to Kei, Ayanokoji prepared everything to make sure his confession would succeed, but when it was Hiyori's turn, Ayanokoji didn't plan anything. On the contrary, he even abandoned his own plan just so he could see Hiyori, so you can say that Hiyori is the second step that Kei probably hoping for. This kind of symbolism between them is interesting, because if we are talking about books, Hiyori is mostly the one who always recommends a good book for Ayanokoji. So if Ayanokoji is looking for a textbook of love, maybe Hiyori is the right person who knows what she needs to give him. Hiyori might be the answer Ayanokoji has been searching for, but it also made you wonder if the story would end in the second book, or maybe it will be a trilogy of love. However, for now let's ignore the third book, and focus on the second book that Ayanokoji currently holds, which is the Book of Hiyori. Return to the first question, why did Kinugasa decide to repeat the same plot of Ayanokoji having a new romantic relationship? The answer should be simple, which is because the lesson is not yet over, and Ayanokoji still has something to learn from it. For starters, the biggest question that came to mind when Ayanokoji confessed his feelings to Hiyori should be obvious, which is whether Hiyori managed to fulfill something that Kei failed to do, which is to change Ayanokoji. The whole thing about change is really important, because when he confessed to Hiyori, Ayanokoji somehow contradicts himself on whether he could change or not. At first he was wondering if he could change and grow like an ordinary high school student, but later he assured himself that some part of him will never change. If you look back at Ayanokoji's confession to Kei, Ayanokoji stated that his relationship with Kei will probably change nothing, but he was hoping some unpredicted future will happen at the end. If you compare how Ayanokoji perceives both of his confessions, you can see how Ayanokoji's belief has changed even if it's just slightly. For Ayanokoji, Kei was the book of love where he wanted to learn and hoped he could feel it, but now after he reached the last page, Hiyori is probably the sequel book where Ayanokoji was hoping those feelings could actually change him, which is probably why those two girls give him a different experience. If we are using this book analogy as an example, and Hiyori really ended up as the sequel to Ayanokoji's love story, let's try to dig deeper into what the sequel book usually means. A sequel usually exists to continue the story or expand it, and believe it or not, a sequel often appears with a chance to fix something wrong in the past, or a turning point that could change the entire flow. Knowing Ayanokoji, it's hard to believe he will repeat the same experience without any improvement, and it aligns with his monologue in Volume 2 Third Year Arc, where he said he will experiment with his new awakened feeling. With that being said, we should expect that this new relationship of Ayanokoji is not going to be the same as when he was with Kei, but most likely will be harder, dangerous, or maybe even full of deceit. If we are using the Romeo and Juliet effect as an example, love will only grow stronger with a heavy road in front of them, and no matter how you look at it, the future of Hiyori's and Ayanokoji's relationship is full of nothing but danger. You already saw how Ichinose reacts looking at them, and Ryuen is still lurking behind the scenes, trying to use Hiyori to her maximum capacity. However, even if the second chance will be different, how do you think their relationship will have any effect on Ayanokoji? As a sequel, of course we will expect that the new relationship will have a different ending than the first one, or even if the ending will be the same, there needs to be a change that makes the sequel worth to read. Speaking from experience, the second relationship usually tells you a lot about the things that were wrong from your previous relationship, which often lead to regret and reminiscence. This might not be the best story development, but bringing Kei in the middle of Ayanokoji and Hiyori could offer some good drama and keep Kei being relevant to the story. Creating a connection between Hiyori and Kei could also deepen their understanding of Ayanokoji, which will somehow lead them to save him, or at least change him for the better. Needless to say, they have a chance to make up, but we cannot really ignore the possibility of Kei being completely irrelevant, and Ichinose being the only competition Hiyori will have. And yet, even if the story is going that way, we still need to expect that Hiyori will give something that Kei cannot give to Ayanokoji. However, looking at how far their relationship was before, it's hard to think Hiyori could actually offer something new. From what we have seen, Hiyori is more intelligent with a possibility of having a hidden side with her, so even if she loves Ayanokoji the same as Kei, Hiyori should have been smarter to handle it, or maybe even taken advantage of him. I know I have said a lot about Hiyori's possible dark side, but it's indeed interesting to see that the thing that Hiyori will give him is not a happiness, but a heartbreak. If Ayanokoji had managed to fall in love, it would just be natural that he would need to experience heartbreak to complete his lesson, and that is something that Kei failed to give him. As for how Ayanokoji can experience it, the highest chance possible is by Hiyori getting expelled, or Hiyori leaving Ayanokoji by her own will. I think Hiyori's expulsion is the most likely option, since their relationship already invites a lot of predators who are ready to rip their flesh. Not only Ichinose and Ryuen, but Ayanokoji himself cannot be ruled out, because judging by his monologue in the volume to third year arc, he is ready to dive as deep as he could and see how it will carry him away, and it doesn't sound like a good thing for Hiyori. Coincidence or not, Ayanokoji's decision in the newest volume about choosing someone to get expelled might be one of his experiments. Because after Shinohara getting expelled, we could see Ika going crazy as if there will be no tomorrow. So at least Ayanokoji already knows how bad losing your precious one could hurt someone, and maybe he wants to feel the same. It's indeed weird to think there is someone who wanted to get hurt, but a heartbreak is indeed a very precious lesson. However, let's just say Hiyori managed to get expelled, and Ayanokoji ended up broken-hearted. Who do you think will be the third book of his love life, or the last girl in this textbook of love trilogy? Since this is a trilogy, the third book will most likely heal his broken heart, and put an end to his love story for good. However, just when and who are indeed very tricky questions. It's hard to think Ayanokoji and Hiyori's relationship will end that quickly, and the sequel of this series is somehow already confirmed, so it wouldn't be impossible if the end girl only appears in the political arc, or maybe even later. As for who will be the third and last girl, I think Horikita is the most obvious choice. She already hinted to meet Atsuomi again in the future, and ever since the end of the second year, she has already awakened romantic feelings toward Ayanokoji. However, I really don't want to limit the possibility, because who knows what kind of new character will appear in the future. Instead of trying to guess who the end girl will be, it's way better to see what kind of lesson they will teach Ayanokoji. For example, Kei already teaches him how it feels to have someone special, to have someone who is always looking for him, and she literally teaches him a lot about dating and the opposite sex. Even though their relationship didn't work at the end, Ayanokoji still learned a lot, and he valued that experience. We still didn't know how Ayanokoji's relationship with Hiyori would work out, but judging by the stakes of the story and how much people keep an eye on him, it's hardly possible their love life will be the happily ever after kind of story. It will most likely end up bad for either of them, which is why the threequel will be the most important relationship for Ayanokoji. After all, when it comes to both Kei and Hiyori, Ayanokoji always has a hidden motive. He never actually loved someone and confessed purely because he wanted to be with them, even though that should have been his final special exam to actually change as a person. If his love for Hiyori really ended up hurting him, he should have learned to value someone else's feelings better, and not treat them as tools. Whether Ayanokoji will remain unchanged until the day he dies is truly a mystery that is worth following until the end. No matter how much he tried, no matter how much he understood, the core of his personality still remained unchanged thanks to his 14 years of White Room training. It's pretty much impossible to erase 14 years of his life in just 3 years of freedom, which is another reason why the third part of Ayanokoji's love story will probably only start when he grows up a bit more. It makes way more sense for Ayanokoji to return to the White Room and confront his nature, and maybe that is where he will finally open himself to something that is actually genuine. However, the question of whether this trilogy will end with a happy or tragic one might be better for us to just wait and see. After all, Ayanokoji is always full of surprise, so this entire video could be proven wrong, and Ayanokoji will live a happy life with Hiyori forever. We never expect Ayanokoji and Kei to actually break up, and we also never expect Ayanokoji to actually fall in love, so let's just wait and see what kind of story Ayanokoji will tell us in his last moment of freedom.